Zhang here. Today, I'm going to be talking about the biggest lie that's holding you back from answered prayers. Have you ever felt like you've been praying, you've been seeking, you've been knocking, and yet God's not answering? We're going to dive right into that. I'm going to read through, actually, by the way, just launched my book, The Miraculous Breakthrough Formula. It is the 7-day challenge, biblically guaranteed to help you get unstuck and achieve the impossible. More on that later. But I'm going to dive and read right into this. Now, if you're a person of prayer, I think we've all gone through a similar circumstance. You're in a desperate situation. You're almost pleading with God. You're like, God, help me out. What's going on? How do I get these answers? And it feels like God's not answering. It feels like he's not talking to you. And you're like, what is going on? Well, one of the biggest things that might be holding us back from answering prayers, and first of all, I will say this: God always answers prayers, but it's not always a yes. God can say yes to your prayer, he can say no to a prayer. Paul, who is one of the greatest Christians of all time, he was said to have asked to remove a thorn from his flesh 3 times. And even Paul did not get that removed. So sometimes our answers to our prayers is a no. Sometimes it's a not yet. So God always answers prayers. But you know the biggest thing that blocks us many times? I'm diving into my chapter in the book on prayer. And how do we, from the Lord's Prayer, actually learn this principle? Okay. One thing that I've seen that probably holds us back from prayers the most is that Jesus says this in the Lord's Prayer, Matthew 6:12, right? This is the whole, let thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, that whole Lord's Prayer, right? But how about this part? When we're praying for the things that we need, the requests that we have, and God wants us to come to him in prayer. Just like a father, he wants us to talk to him, right? Who here is a parent? Put a 1 in the comments below if you're a parent of any type, right? If you're a parent, you want your kids to talk to you, right? You want them to come to you. You want them to seek your wisdom. You want to be involved in their life. However, what's up, Lily? Here's a big one. Forgive us our debts as we have also forgiven our debtors. Forgive us our debts as we have also forgiven our debtors. It's interesting in the Lord's Prayer, what Jesus says is, of course, seek for your questions, seek for your requests. But even before that, God cares about his family. God cares about his relationships. And he says that before you even ask me for anything, if you have any issues with anybody in your life, any strife, any lack of forgiveness, if you have anyone that you have beef with, someone that you're in some type of disagreement with, you know that one lack of forgiveness could be the biggest thing blocking you from answered prayer. Think about it. If you're a parent, and let's say you have 2 kids, and you have a kid that you just saw was in a really bad argument with the other sibling. They're crying, they're hurt, they're all like messed up and everything. And can you imagine that the kid that was involved in this altercation did not kiss and make up, did not forgive the other, did not solve that? And that kid came back to you as a parent and was like, Mommy, Daddy, hey, can I get this thing? How would you react? Wouldn't you be like, I think you gotta go resolve that conflict that you just had with your sibling? So one of the biggest things that we would look into as you're in a time of prayer is, of course, go with your requests. But at the same time, when you're going to your Father in heaven in prayer, in petition, are you also praying this prayer? Here's a mature prayer. God, I want your will to be done. But God, can you reveal to me any faults that I might have done? Any unconfessed sins? Any hurts that I've caused? Right? Is there anyone that I've been holding a grudge against? Is there anyone that I've been having a lack of forgiveness against? Is there anyone that I need to resolve a conflict with? Right? He says in the New Testament, in the Gospels, He says that it's so easy to see the speck in someone's eye, but how about the log that's in our own? We have to remove that first. So many times we think the problem is outside of us, but the only thing that we can control is ourselves, isn't it? So if we want to have answered prayers, are you clearing the decks? Are you clearing the conscience? Are you confessing what it is? Now, there's no condemnation, right? It's if you're saved, you're saved. But in terms of communication, there can be blocks with things. So it's so important that you pray this first. And if you feel like you're having unanswered prayers, could it be that there's lack of forgiveness somewhere? Maybe it's with a relationship that you've had. Maybe it's a coworker, a mentor, a teammate that you've had. Maybe it's with a spouse, an ex, a relationship. Maybe it's with yourself, right, Ruby? It's such a big thing. So look at those things and ask God to reveal that to you, because I'll be real. There's a lot of things within each of us that we kind of, it's there lodged in the subconscious. We don't even remember it. That's why you see a lot of people have a lot of these childhood traumas, right? And maybe they were, unfortunately, people have gone through some really tough stuff. Maybe their parents abused them, right? And I don't want to play light on this, right? There's been some really atrocious things that happen to people. And this is, remember, forgiveness is not condoning. Like, that's not the same thing. It's not saying it's okay, but forgiveness is releasing judgment. Remember, we don't judge. God judges, right? He's the one that's the ultimate judge. You know, there's a Bible verse that talks about how when you give, you will receive. Shaken, pressed together, overflowing. If you know that verse in Luke 6. Now, many times that verse is talking about giving, and people think giving is money. But did you know that in the context of that, actually, it says judge and you will not be judged, right? Judge not and you will not be judged. If you give, you will receive more. So when we judge, so for example, when something bad happens to us, something atrocious happens to us, and we own up and we take charge of God's job as a judger, and we say, they're horrible. They hurt me. They're wrong. You know, woe to them, whatever that it is. When we judge someone else, God says, okay, here you go. Judgment comes back even more. So there's been things that have happened in our life, unfair things, horrible things, things that we would never talk about in an open platform. Some of you have been sexually maligned. Some of you have gone through some really bad bullying in your life. Some of you have gone through the most financial, horrible things. You've had business partners that screwed you over. Some of you have gone through relationships where the things that happen in that relationship are just absolutely atrocious. Some of us have done things to ourselves that you are just embarrassed about. Some of us have had things that we've done to others that we are feeling so guilty about. Some of us are carrying guilt and shame about things we've done 10, 20, 30, 50 years ago that we have dislodged, that we have forgotten. And yet we have never forgiven ourselves or never forgiven other people. And brother, sister, I just want to share with you today, could it be that a part of the reason why your prayers are being unanswered is that there is still that bit that we have not let go of yet? There's still that bit that we're reserving judgment and criticism on, whether it's someone else that may or may not be living anymore, or it's someone else that's on ourselves. My TikTok's locked for now for some reason, so I'm on here. And once again, I say this with the most sincerity and love. It's not your fault, right? Like, there is no condemnation. It says in Romans 8:1, there's no condemnation for those that are in Christ Jesus. So I'm not saying this out of condemnation or guilt or anything, but I'm saying this out of love. Are you willing to forgive and resolve that relationship? Whether that's you actually have a conversation with them, whether that's you actually confront them and you speak with them, whether that's, if it's in a dangerous place, you just in your heart let go of that. Are you willing to say, God, you are the judge, I'm not the judge? Are you willing to say, God, okay, I know that that was not from you, but I also know that you work everything together for the good of those who are called according to your purpose. I know that that was horrible, that was of the enemy. And it wasn't that person was under that influence, right? We're all broken. But are you willing to forgive today and let go? And when you start to do that, what happens is this. Remember, forgiveness, lack of forgiveness is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. When you forgive, you let go of that and you allow God to start to communicate with you. You allow God to overpour his blessings onto you again, and God will hear from you again. Remember, this is principle number 6 in prayer in my book. Confess your faults and forgive those that you haven't let go of yet. Is there someone that you need to forgive today? Just ask God. Just pray to him today. So God, I'm sorry. This has been so in my life. And today I just want to release that. I give it to you. I let you be the ultimate judge. Love that other person. Exactly, Ruby. Huge, huge thing. And you, when you release that, I'm telling you, wisdom comes in. I've walked a lot of people now through this principle, through this formula. I had somebody that went through this, and on the first day, they had some big, big prayers. And what happened the first day, they actually had an epiphany. They said, wow, James, I had someone that had a lack of forgiveness with that I did not even know. So you know what this person did? Release that lack of forgiveness. And instantly after that, the most incredible miracles happened: health, business, finances, everything. And it was like this person could hear from God clearly now. It's like, when you forgive someone, it's like if you've ever been in a shower before, and have you ever seen that it's like super misty or it's murky or maybe it's dirty on the window? You can kind of see it's translucent, but you can't see all the way through. But what happens is when you forgive and you let go of this, you're wiping that clean and you can see right through it. And on the other side, you know who you see? You see God. And God can see you clearly as well too. The biggest lie that's holding you back from answered prayers. Could it be that we are not forgiving ourselves or others? And if you do that, just watch to see how God comes through and how that communication channel gets unjammed. So if that helped you, I just launched this book. By the way, this is just one of those principles in here, the Miraculous Breakthrough Formula. I'm talking about a 7-day challenge, biblical guarantee to get you unstuck and achieve the impossible. If you haven't grabbed that yet, grab it. Links are in the caption. It's miraculousbreakthroughformula.com. This is blessing a lot of people. I'm super excited that God's using this right now. And keep on tuning in. I'm breaking down this book and the principles and everything so that we can really get God's presence and seek some amazing breakthroughs in our life. I hope this blessed you. If you did, like this, share this, and subscribe to my YouTube, by the way. I put this plus all the other replays there as well, too. God bless, and talk to you guys soon, all right? Bye-bye. You're absolutely welcome.